everybody, welcome to the Fairy Vibrant Makeup channel. Oh my gosh, I haven't filmed in a while, but I'm feeling kind of happy today, so it's good, right? It's good. If you guys don't know, I do struggle with depression, and I had recently lost my mom last year, so it's very, very hard for me to kind of talk to the camera. I've been kind of laying low. I took a bit of a week break during the week of Mother's Day so that I can take some time to myself, focus on my children, myself, and actually do some things I thought I'd never do, which mean going to church. I won't elaborate too much about my beliefs and stuff because that's not what my channel's about, but I did go and get some counseling, grief counseling through a church, so I was very fortunate and actually very humbled by the experience. So if you want me to talk about that experience, if you are into that stuff, let me know in the comments down below. But if you don't, that's fine. I'm not going to do that. But anyways, I filmed this look and I'm like, oh my god, I totally forgot to film my intro to my palette collection, this video. So that's what I'm doing today. So if you don't know me, I do love palettes, eyeshadow palettes. I love them, love them, love them. It's, for me, it's a creative spectrum of just endless possibilities what I can do with makeup, and eyeshadow is just my favorite thing to do, favorite thing to play with. So I wanted to show you guys what I have in my eyeshadow collection. I did do an eyeshadow collection video before, so I'll link that down below, but this is going to be an updated version. I have kind of gotten rid of some of my eyeshadow palettes that you probably saw in my last collection video. They're no longer with me just because I don't use them, so I actually give them to like family members or my niece, or you know, just get rid of them. I don't like to get rid of eyeshadow palettes very often, but I thought this would be a great way for me to kind of go through my eyeshadow palettes, see what I need, see what I don't need, or end up keeping all of them. So I wanted to show you what I have in my collection so that you guys can take a look at maybe, oh, well, that eyeshadow palette I really like. Can you do a look on that? Or you're contemplating on buying these eyeshadow palettes. Unfortunately, not all of my eyeshadow palettes are still available, but if you see something, I can definitely see if I can find a dupe, and I can do a dupe video on a palette you saw that's no longer available. Maybe I can try and find an eyeshadow palette that's available. I am going to be filming a purple eyeshadow video because I feel like that's imperative in the makeup world. You cannot find a decent purple eyeshadow, and one of my subscribers did request that, and I apologize it's taking me so long. I'm trying my best to get on the ball about my videos and be consistent. It's just, whew, work. I'm busy, busy, busy with home life, with work life, just everything. There's so much going on in my life right now that I just want to focus on the people that I love. And now, I have an abundance of eyeshadow palettes. Some I've gotten from BoxyCharm, some I've gotten from Sephora or even Ulta, and I wanted to share those with you today just so that you can see what I have, and maybe you can kind of get some inspiration to kind of ask me, hey, do some more tutorials and actually do videos on all these eyeshadow palettes that you have. Don't let them just sit there. But I do use my eyeshadow palettes extensively. I do not have not one, maybe a couple that I have not used just because I am going to do a palette swatch and review video for those. Of course, as you guys know, I'm a Kat Von D fan, and I have the 10-year anniversary palette. I have a review coming on this one as well, so you stay tuned for that. It might be posted right after this because I still have to film the swatches and kind of like just the swatches portion of the video, so I need to do that too. But this is a 10-year anniversary eyeshadow palette from Kat Von D, so I really, really like this. If you want to see it in my video, stay tuned. I will have that soon. But those are the two newest eyeshadows in my collection. Eyeshadow palettes in my collection, so you won't see that in the video. So without further ado, I'm going to go through each eyeshadow palette that I do have in my collection and just kind of give a brief summary or what I love about this palette, or if I even still like this palette. So keep on watching. Let's see those eyeshadow palettes. So I'm going to go into my Juvia's Place collection. This is the Saharan by Juvia's Place. It has very unique shades. I especially do love that corally orange shade in the corner. It blends really beautifully. This is the Masquerade palette by Juvia's Place, and it's really colorful, so I do love the fact that it has like almost rainbow-esque colors. Very blendable, very beautiful. The Zulu palette by Juvia's Place is something I don't really use that much, but I do need to dive into for the summer because they're very, very bright and they do blend very nicely. The Nubian 2 palette is similar to the Serpentina palette by Kat Von D, but it has a orange shade, not a red shade. The Magic by Juvia's Place, I do have tutorials on most of my Juvia's Place ones, except for I think the Nubian. In the Masquerade I don't have. But this is a very nice palette. I do have 2 videos for this palette, so I'll probably link those down below. Now my Lime Crime collection. This is the Pocket Candy one. It's like the purple one. It is very pretty, blends beautifully. Even though there's not really matte shades in it, it still can create an entire look with this tiny little palette. I also have the Lemonade one. That one, the strawberry shade is not very red. It's a little stiff in the pan, but I do love this palette. Now, I have 2 favorites. This is one of my favorites of all time, the Lime Crime Venus 1 palette. Muse, I love it. It's my favorite cranberry shade. It's just beautiful and it blends really well. Venus 2 I do not care for. I don't use it that much. This is more of a fall palette, so I don't see myself using it right now, but I probably will try and bust it out for fall. The Venus 3 I have not used yet, but I'm very excited. I am going to film a swatch and demo on this palette because I absolutely love Lime Crime eyeshadows. I'm excited about this one, so let's see what it'll, what kind of looks I'll come up with. The Venus XL is another one of my all-time favorites, probably my #1 favorite palette because it's got a large array of reds, pinks, fuchsias, and a little bit of plums. It blends like a dream. It has transition shades. It's got my primer setting shade. It's just got everything I love. Getting into the Huda Beauty stuff that I have the Rose Gold palette. I understand she reformulated it. I don't care for that. I am not going to be repurchasing another one just because it's got a new formula. The Huda Desert Dusk palette is pretty impressive. Cosmo is a unique pressed glitter, but honestly I don't reach for this as much as I used to. I have also the Huda Obsessions. This is the Bold Obsessions. Very pretty, blends beautifully. The Smoky Obsessions I absolutely love. It's got a transition shade, but it does have a lot of shimmers that are just blendable and bold. The Mauves Obsessions is very pretty too. I think this is more of like a cranberry one. I don't really see a lot of mauves. Now for my Too Faced palette, probably my only one that I do have because I've gotten rid of a lot of them. This is the Chocolate Gold palette. I do love this palette. The gold is just beautiful and it has transition shade, got my primer setting shade, and it's got contour shades. So that's what I look for in a palette. This is a repurchase because I did use to death my other and first Modern Renaissance palette when it first launched. This I actually bought with my points, so I'm so excited. Save your points if you do shop at Ulta. I love this palette. The Subculture palette has a love-hate relationship with the beauty world just because of usability. You have to really understand that these are pressed pigments, very saturated pigments, so you have to place and blend, and I did a 2 videos on this too. The Prism palette, I do have a video on as far as like swatches and demo. I love Obsidian and Sphere. Those are my 2 favorite shades in the palette because the contrast between them is beautiful. The Soft Glam palette I don't really care for because I'm not a fan of neutral palettes, but I do need to start getting into neutral palettes just because they're easy and I feel like they can complement my eye shape. The Tarte Mermaid Collection palette, shaped like a seashell. It's so pretty, and it's got scales as the pans. I do use this quite often. I do love this palette. I had the Magic one, the Unicorn Collection one. I didn't like that one as much because it didn't have any mattes in it. This is my first Prestige palette that I've ever purchased, ever. I purchased this at Ulta in Las Cruces, New Mexico when it first opened, when that Ulta first opened. So weird how I come back to that district. It's so weird. But anyways, this is my first prestige item, my high-end palette, and I still love it and I still use it. As you can see, I'm getting more into my Urban Decay collection. This is the Troublemaker palette. I got it on sale, and it's a pretty decent palette. I really do like it. The Naked Heat palette, I do love. I got it with points. It's more of a coppery tone, so if you're not into those, I do suggest getting maybe, if you have blue eyes, Naked 2, if you have brown eyes, Naked 1, and Naked 3. I did have the Naked 3 as well, but that one is long gone now. The Naked Smoky palette is more cool tone, so if you like cool tone shades, this is a nice palette. I don't use this one as often. I think I more use it in like the fall winter times when like cool colors are just a little bit more prominent. The Moondust palette is my favorite glitter palette, my only glitter palette really. If you're looking for something for a lot of sparkle, this palette has it. Use your fingers to really press on that pigment, but by far my favorite palette in Urban Decay. Besides this one, I do love the Kristen Leanne collection. I don't really pay attention too much to this YouTuber, but I do watch some of her videos. But this is a very nice palette. I don't get the layout, but the colors blend well and they're so bold and beautiful. This is the neutral palette that she came out with, and a friend of mine gave this to me as a going away present, and I do use it to base out my eyes for the other palette. Now we're getting into my Kat Von D collection. This is the Mi Vida Loca palette. I don't use it as much anymore because it's a collector's piece for me, but I did use the heck out of Lemmy when I did a Medusa look that I accidentally deleted. So if you want to see a Medusa look, I will refilm that for Halloween. This is the Better Together half of the Kat Von D Too Faced collaboration. My niece has the Too Faced, I have the Kat Von D. Swoon is the most beautiful metallic red I've ever seen. This is the Pastel Goth. I don't use this as much right now because this is more of a spring palette, so I do want to try and see if I can categorize my palettes into season because I do want to kind of season them up. This is the Shade Light Sage palette. I use this to base out most of my looks because it's a nice travel, easy, and you can get a contoured eye very easily. This is the smoky one. As you can see, I busted the taupe shade, but it still works with a little alcohol and then a little bit of prayers. I got it to work, so I do like this palette for a smoky eye look. This is the plum one, and I do use this to kind of contour my eyes and also complement my brown eyes because purples do look very nice with brown eyes. And then this is the Rust one, which I don't really use as much. This is the Serpentina palette. I haven't used this as much because it's just so pretty, but I will bust this out for you guys if you guys request that I do a look on this. This is no longer available, unfortunately, but I will still do a look. This is the Metal Matte palette, no longer available. This is a very nice palette. I do wish there were more warm shades in the palette, like really warm shades, deep rusts or burgundies, but there isn't, but I can still create a nice look with this palette. This is the Saint Sinner palette. A lot of people are like, I don't like it. It's just all over the place. Well, I kind of like the, sparsity of colors. There's bolds, there's natural colors or neutral colors. There's just all sorts of different colors, and you can create a lot of looks with this palette. This is the Divine palette. Guys, this is on sale, and you need to grab it while you can, while it's still available on Sephora's website. It is clearance now. I have used this once. When I filmed this, I hadn't used it yet, but I finally used it, and I absolutely love it. It blends like a dream. It's just a beautiful palette. Now, for my favorite at the moment palette. This is the 10-year anniversary one from Kat Von D. This is a very nice palette. Blends beautifully, and they're just beautiful colors. Here's my Violet Voss palette. Very bold shades, very big pans. So you do get a lot of pigment for the price. $30. I used my gift card on it. It's amazing. Now into my Smashbox palettes. This is the Ablaze palette. This is good for travel if you want to just create a nice warm look. And if you're looking for a more cool tone look or smoky eye, this is the Smoky palette by Smashbox from the Covershot collection. This is nice for travel as well. And then the Bold, which is no longer available at Ulta, I don't know why, but this is a nice rainbow color palette, but you do have to be careful when you blend. The Vlada one is still available at Ulta, and it is beautiful. I love it. I feel like this is way better than the other Covershot palettes. So much for watching my video on my eyeshadow palette collection, and stay tuned for this entire look. You will see this in a future video. I am filming the outro and the intro of my palette collection video. That's why I have this on. I figured I have time. Let's do that. So you're gonna see this look in a video soon, but it is part of my birthstone series, so you can probably guess which birthstone I did. So stay tuned for that tutorial, and I will see you guys in my next video. Hopefully it will be the Kat Von D one or this look. Alright, bye.